our weekly episode of Guiding Your Spiritual Journey. Tonight's topic being emotional identity. Emotional identity. That was a good one. Daniel came up with it. I was kind of had a different idea. I don't remember what it was. Anyway, I had some different idea, and I was kind of stumbling around. I'm like, I feel like we did that already. And he's like, how about emotional identity? What do you mean by that? So we discussed it, and what do you think? You think it's a good idea? So are you an emotional person? Are you? Of course you are. You are an emotional person. We, of course, would like to say that we're not. And people say, I'm not emotional. Or people will say they don't have any emotionals or they don't feel emotion. You are an emotional person. You can deny your emotions. You can suppress your emotions. You can ignore your emotions. They may be so far stuffed down that you don't consciously recognize them, but you still have them. You have emotions. You have emotional experiences. You have emotional reactions, whether you like it or not. Some of us feel emotions very readily. Others of us don't. And of course, anything in between. But no matter where you are on the spectrum, you have them. You have them, and they are a gift. We have emotions for a reason. We have them to experience life. If you don't have emotions, then you're an automaton. You're simply going through the motions, going through the day. Then what would be the point, right? If you're saying to yourself, I'm not an emotional person, I don't have any emotions, I'm saying that yes, you do, that you are detached from them. And I don't want to say I feel sorry for you. I want to say that if you consider what we're going to share with you tonight and you give it a try, perhaps your life will feel fuller. You'll feel more alive, more engaged, have a purpose, have an understanding of why on earth you're here. Because you're not here to just be a robot and not feel anything. Speaking of denying and suppressing, we have physical bodies and we have physical symptoms and manifestations, which also are indicators, which also tell us what's going on, which also make life interesting and deeper and richer, and which we also are very good at denying and suppressing. We'll say, that doesn't hurt. I'm not in pain. I'm not cold. I'm not hungry. I'm not thirsty. Any of those things, the stomach bothering you all the time. Oh no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. And then it blows up in your face. So, and we all know that story. So, maybe if you're not quite ready to experience emotions, maybe start with recognizing your symptoms. If you're weak and falling apart and you suppress it and you don't give yourself rest, sooner or later it's going to bite you in the butt. And I know we're all busy and we all feel like we just don't have time. But if something's not working, you got to honor that and find out what to do to fix yourself, right? To treat yourself better. And we have talked about all of those things on another video. I just wanted to bring that up as like a comparison. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. So not recognizing our emotions or our physical symptoms, by not recognizing them, it doesn't serve you. It's there to serve you, and by suppressing them, ignoring them, not experiencing them, you are not serving yourself. That doesn't seem very smart, right? This is a tool. It's a valuable tool, and you don't use it. So if you believe me that you're an emotional person, whether you like it or not, what do you do now, right? I don't experience emotions, or I'm very limited on my emotions. I only feel happy and sad and angry and whatever. Consider looking within and do it fearlessly. Do it with an open mind. Do it without judgment, especially you men. You have been taught that you don't have pain, that you don't have emotions, that you don't experience everything, that you're not allowed to cry, that you're not allowed to be hurt. You experience hurt just the same as women. The difference is that you have shut it down. Okay? Optimally, you get to a point where somebody saying something to you or whatever, cutting you down, doesn't bang at your self-esteem. But if you're not allowing yourself to experience emotions and somebody's banging on your self-esteem, it's still banging on your self-esteem. If you experience that emotion, you recognize what's going on, allow it to not be suppressed, allow it to rise up, allow yourself to experience it, then you can address it not hammering on your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your sense of self. But if you're shoving it down, that doesn't mean it's not affecting you. It means you're shoving it down. Okay, so you're going to fearlessly look at your emotions. You're going to fearlessly pay attention to what's going on. And I want to tell you, if you respond in some way, so you actually start noticing your emotions, and you get some kind of reaction to a blonde person laughing, or a green person picking up a bag, whatever, we get those responses. You can identify what that is and go, oh yeah, I remember when I was a kid, there was a green person walking down the street and they picked up a bag, and then all these worms were underneath the bag, and it really scared me. That could have happened, right? But you could also not remember what happened and why that affects you. And it's okay. If you don't remember what the emotion is from, what causes, what's the foundation of that trigger, it's all right. Just experience the emotion and acknowledge it, and decide that you want to work on it and address it and see where you can go. See how you can evolve from there. If you are experiencing an emotion response that you like, if you are a happy person, if you are a joyful person, you respond in positive ways, and you can identify yourself in those ways, then celebrate that. But those things that you identify about yourself, that you're fearful, that you are envious of others, that you are selfish, again, don't judge yourself for them, but recognize them and fix it. Make the effort to push yourself, to find other ways to express yourself, and those things that we don't like about ourselves, say it's selfishness. It's an emotional identity. It is not your identity. It is not who you are. It is how you are expressing yourself because of a pain, because of an unresolved trauma. So work with it. Allow yourself to feel it and find a way to make it better. So all these labels that we can call our emotional identities: happy, sad, joyful, loving, peaceful, compassionate, scared, foul, big mouth, whatever. Essentially, these things all boil down to your emotional identity is either that you are stuck and you're not making any progress and you are just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and you're like in a loop, or you're growing. Your emotional identity boils down to one of those two things, stuck or growing. If you want to continue, if you want to be 80 years old and still be a crabapple, okay, then stay stuck. But if you'd like to experience life fuller, if you'd like to actually feel joy in your day, look within and find those triggers and those emotions that you are not feeling, that you're suppressing, or that you're feeling and acting out on, and work on them. Make it better for yourself, maybe even for other people. And you're going, but I'm selfish, I don't care about other people. Okay, then just do it for yourself. That's all I have right at the moment. And he says it's a great idea. Okay. Any other questions? In the meantime, Daniel is going to say his spiel. His spiel. Sounds like he's selling something. He's selling emotional identity. And then we'll do the healing portion. Okay. Here's Daniel.
Okay, hello everybody. It's good to see you this evening. I've got this wonderful idea about this emotional identity. It's kind of a concept not too many people want to talk about, because what it does is it introduces you in a different way to another person. If they haven't noticed anything about you, most people will take the time, if you give it to them, if you volunteer the time, to get to know you somewhat, and to explore some of the things that that make everybody, either one of you, or if you're in a group, make you laugh, give you that facial expression that you care, or you understand, or you feel that empathy or apathy towards something that's that's in the realm of your ability to feel. So emotional identity could be a label. People say, oh, that one's a crybaby, that one's over emotional, or that one takes it really obsessively. It's okay. It doesn't matter what other people think about what they perceive, how you involve yourself emotionally into things that people could be or should be emotionally involved in. It's a gift. It's all a gift to feel those emotional things, those things that, and we call it emotional. Emotional, it really comes from the receptors within our heart, explaining to us what our environment is around us. It's like looking out from the inside, and looking out from the inside and observing what goes on out there, and giving yourself a chance to examine it. As children, we navigate through our first years emotionally, because that's all we have. We can't talk. We're not able to effectively communicate except through cues. We give cues. We're hungry, we're this and that. And so what does this feel like? As a child, We are stimulated by words, touch, voices, what we see, what we smell, what we hear, what touches us, and what we hear, if it's loud or soft. We then are systematically introduced to recognize cues. Again, we're being trained. We're being trained to perform a response. For instance, pick that, and then you go point to something up. So the cue is pick that up, right? So this is training to be punished or praised for your performance and how you do. The training goes from parental to institutional to school. We learn logic and rational ways to train our brains, and we're taught how to do this. We're taught how to study. We're taught how to focus and to be retentive and to be able to maneuver around and to figure and process solving problems, which about using the brain, intellectually. Trained brains have a whole lot of difficulty knowing how to be. So if you're in the grasp of that learning center, the institution, when you go back home, you're back into training on how to live and be in the home. Then without emotion, you really don't know how to be outside of that environment. So from the darkness of assimilation into society, I have come to believe that a human being has a limited ability to enjoy the full view. Okay. Many of us have been programmed to believe intellect supersedes emotional involvement. It's a sad situation, but I've seen that most all of my life. And, I was raised in Boston, an intellectual and academic town of intellects, and, people just talking, and conferring and arguing and bickering and transferring information, that somebody already wrote and more or less just, going through the motions. And so this is much pain, I think it's a whole lot of pain that people really believe that intellect supersedes emotional involvement. And there is much pain in that. And I believe that this pain borderlines trauma during the training period of adolescence. That whole thing about punishment and consequences, and the shaming or the guilt for not doing it right or not being able to do it, not being able to fulfill a parent's expectations of you, and then learning to have those expectations of yourself. It really gets kind of squirrely, when you start looking at with such blinders. And there's more people out there like that than we care to think about. In fact, most people will say that yeah, I am similar to that, and yes, I have been part of the programming and training program. The part that gets to most people is being realistic and truthful to themselves, to say, I am very limited on my ability to be involved emotionally, and And as a parent, as a human being with other people, um, how I feel about um, society and how it's being run. I have opinions, intellectual opinions, not based on how I feel, but on how I see how the process has been misused, mishandled, or scrutinized. I can tell you how I can express myself in terms of that. Most people would agree with that. But to realize that we have been, socially inept and taught a certain way of being, especially in this time where um, men and women, and it's not it's not a disease, but it's a dis-ease within people when they start gasping and examining how they feel when they say, "I don't like this," or I'm having too much stress. This is really getting overboard. I'm putting too much time into this. I'm missing my family. I'm missing this. I'm missing life. I'm missing this to achieve, an abundance, or to find, their pinnacle point of achievement, or and the sacrifice people do to do that is something you can't get back at that particular moment. I mean, to watch your kids grow up, or to be involved in leisure time and enjoy nature, to take the moments to have moments um, that are emotionally stimulating, to make you feel alive. We have people who keep working till 9 o'clock at night and get up at 5 and do it all over again 7 days a week. And I'm not saying everybody does that, but I believe there's a whole lot of people that, given another opportunity past this pandemic, they would go right back to it. So most of us are programmed not to invest emotional energies, as to believe these energies to be unrealistic. The weakness of a well-trained mind. Emotional energies are the weakness of a well-trained mind. Well, people believe that. The retarder of a good oriented motivation. In other words, I'm getting to where I'm going to go. I'm going to live on that hill. I'm going to have this. I'm going to have that. And nobody's going to get in my way because I have that motivation, that drive, And, the whole thing is if you think about those words, we can actually picture people that we know, and even ourselves, to get certain things, we will put it in overdrive to get to that point, and it doesn't matter who, people, places, or things that we walk over or get to, we will do what we have to do, and then do the consequences after that, of what you did and how you did it and who you did it to, So I do understand the quest for identity. For some of us, it's an explosion when that comes about, the creation of life from the darkness. And what I mean by that is when we get that understanding that, there's something not right. I'm not totally understanding why I feel this way, because I'm not really been practiced enough to understand what that feeling is or where it comes from, and then shake off the whole thought of that it's a weakness, or it's going to get in my way, or it's blocking, my process of known and trained thinking. But we are all in the wake of an emotional identity, and I believe that's about waking up to seeing where we are today, and to have that remarkable insight to what our planet has to offer in the way of nature, the things that are disappearing, and extinct. To feel the winds upon us, to recognize some of the things that are going on with pollution in the air, with the grounds. We see how things are being grown, how we feel about that. When we look back and see how these foods and these pollutions and all these things that people knew about that could be detrimental to our health and our children's health has been given to us blatantly. That's something to think about. And that's part of the thing about being trained, is so that you don't think about those things, that you dumb down, that you're not being involved. You're simply accepting, the situation of simplicity of going to the market and just picking things up off the counter that you've seen on TV and being a consumer. It's not the way I feel today about how I live my life. Although I did do those things, and I have been guilty of just about every word that I've spoken already. But again, it's that explosion from the darkness to the light that just says, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to be part of this whole systematic situation that has been indoctrinated into my family and my ancestors' way of living. And not just because I'm a Native person. I think every person has been indoctrinated into this way of thinking. So, again, I've come to believe that a human being has a limited ability to enjoy, has an unlimited ability to enjoy the full view of what's going on around them, with your children, with your pets, plants, the sky, the sunset, all these things. They're just instilled as being part of this whole scheme of life. It's just a short trip too. You think back, you go, oh my God, did I waste all that time and everything? Stop punishing yourself. It's not realistic. Okay. Okay. A limited ability to enjoy the full view of his or her life closed within striving for the best to be the best intellectually, to achieve job status. It is a big deal, for people to climb the ladder and, with your natural abilities and so forth and so on. But, in my view, on the most part, as being, a hands-on person, I've come a long way with just being happy and being humorous and making mistakes and being able to reinvest my, not shame, but not even guilt, just, inexperience and chalk it up and say, well, I didn't know, I really, really didn't know, but I'll try it again, the, the absence of the flower of feeling. Being absent from the flower of feeling, the whole thing about just coming up and just protruding yourself into the nature and to show the world that you are a flower, that you are able to be flowered and to express yourself through your feelings in words, and a lot of times people, including myself, I was a handicapped person emotionally. I was an invalid, and on how to figure out how to say things or express things. I spent a lot of time, like Karen had said earlier, about oppressing and suppressing feelings. And not knowing how to say things without stumbling around, not being able to show somebody that I care. Too far within my perimeters. That's pretty handicapped. But through time and through reinvesting and saying, well, I can love, I can try to love, I can feel the feelings, I can understand what it feels like to hurt, but to have the courage to come back and try it again and reinvest myself into taking that chance and knowing that, the end result could be a lot of pain, it could be a lot of hurt, but I'm willing to do it again. Mm-hmm. to explore a day with each person's life, the springtime of confusion in the heart, the uncertainty of vulnerability, which develops into confidence. Mhm. So, emptying the bucket of a closed mind to fill the bucket with life's gifts of curiosity, adventure, love, companionship, passion, to be heard, not to fade away, but to have the courage to reinvest yourself. Yes, emotional identity is possible, is a possibility, a new term for us to explore. We all have an emotional history, and we really got to take a look at it sometimes, because it's very painful a lot of times, because we tell ourselves we made so many mistakes, we didn't do this right, we didn't. No, that's part of your history. Those are the events, those are the experiences that you had. And then you look at it and see, this is how I dealt with it. I dealt with it on a punishing basis that I should have, could have, and I wish I did. Uh, if I could change these things. No, these are experiences that we put in our, that we, that are supposed to and could very realistically be the building blocks of changing those disappointments and that sorrow and shame and guilt into the greatest joys of our life. When we look at them, explore them, identify them, own them, and tell ourselves, I'll try not to hurt myself again. That's the key. Try not to hurt myself again. And to give yourself another opportunity to walk in the light of this life. I mean, there's a lot of people that just completely close the door, say, I'm not doing that again because it hurt too much. I don't want to disappoint anybody. And the biggest thing that happens to most people is the shame that we've been taught of having expectations that were given to us and we adopt within ourselves. We have a higher expectation, and if we don't meet it, we just can't get over it a lot of times. So a lot of times, like I just said, we empty the bucket. We simply say, I'm going to refill it with some new experiences and new ways of looking at this life. I'm going to take some risks. I'm going to really see and explore how I feel. I'm going to stumble around until I can tell somebody that I care about them. I'm going to say things in such a weird manner that, that I can almost laugh at myself when I say it. Or if somebody else laughs and say, do you really mean like this? It could be a lot of fun re-examining and rediscovering who you are emotionally. Your identity can be such a beautiful thing. To realize that you're in the pulse of life, living a day from morning to sunset. And somewhere in between there, you have moments that become memories that you own for eternity, involved in love, compassion, caring. Mm-hmm. And again, we weed out the experiences that do not serve us anymore, to empty that bucket with an inner joy of discovery of happiness, to become a whole person as Creator provided for us, provided for you and me. Work, love, play. Look from the inside out. You can be a whole person. You can enjoy your emotional, inadequacies by just coming out and opening the door and say, I'm going to give it a try. This is my day. And somewhere along the line, you look back and you say, I remember that day that I took that risk, in being something different than I was trained to be or institutionalized to be. And here I am today, looking at the world through this beautiful view, that is perpetuated through the heart, through the mind, through the body, and spiritually understanding that God has given me this opportunity to walk this earth with happiness and joy. Okay, well, that's about how I have to say it tonight, and I hope you all enjoy finding and exploring your own emotional identity. Oh, good night, everybody.
Thank you, honey.
Okay.
That was very good. Let's see. There are some comments. Let's see. Well said. Yes, we've been indoctrinated. Yes. And she says, "Well said, Karen." You usually get all the good comments. I have a question for you, and I want you to post it down there in the comments. Is your emotional identity stuck or growing?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Let's put it in the comments. While you're at it, if you could hit the subscribe button, that would be great. If you could hit the little bell, that'll tell you when we come on, which is not very often, once a week, typically. Unless we forget or don't feel good or something. Because we're on our journeys too, right? We're dealing with our own emotional stuff, our own spiritual stuff, our own physical stuff, our own family stuff, our own work stuff. We are definitely growing. So I would put in the comment that my emotional identity is growing. And I hope yours is too. But if it's stuck and you acknowledge that, then that's the first step towards becoming a growing person, right? Having a growing spiritual identity too. But right now we're talking about emotional identity. And really all those things are all combined. They all grow together. Even though we've kind of been taught that they're not. Okay, here we go. Okay, Wendy says, growing for sure, not always pretty. Yes, that is very true. And that is part of our emotional disability, our emotional sickness, is that we have been led to believe that crying and anger and fear and all that stuff is not good, but it is good. It's process. It's how you grow. You don't grow by everything being all hunky-dory 24/7. It's an emotional process. And when any of us that do this work, healing work, which actually you're doing the work, we are accompanying you on your own healing. It's not pretty. And I'm one of those people like, I don't know, I had a boyfriend when I was young. I had a lot of boyfriends when I was young, but this particular one, we were swimming in some lake or something. And he came out of the water, he wants to give me a big hug, and he's got like snots. And I was so wigged out. And he said, "You have bogophobia." And I'm owning that. I have bogophobia. I am not a fan of boogers. And yet, when we're doing the trauma work, when we're doing the healing work, they don't bother me. It's so beautiful to see somebody processing their stuff. And yeah, somebody on the outside might be thinking, "Oh, what's going on there?" But it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It really is. When those things start releasing, you could be hiccuping your head off. There are all kinds of ways that it could happen. It's a beautiful thing. So what Wendy's saying, it's not beautiful, or it's not pretty. No, it's not pretty. It's not pretty, but it is beautiful. And I hope you get to experience it. We've got another comment. Growing, learning to feed it with better nutrients daily. Yes. Some of us are learning about nutrients for our bodies physically, but yes, we need them for our emotional self too. Yes, we do. Thank you. Okay. Our 8 o'clock tonight, we have our Ocean of Divine Oneness is at 8, and we will be kind of segueing from here. That's on Zoom, though. So for those of you that are with us, will be with us tonight, stay on task. You'll see where we go with this. We'll do some work. In the meantime, for you, everyone here on YouTube, let's do some healing work and call it a night, because, yeah, I just realized I hadn't been keeping track of the time. Because, I'm not perfect. Okay. If you have not worked with spiritual energy, with spiritual healing, here's an opportunity for you. A chance to give it a try. And you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is suspend your disbelief. See what happens. See what you feel. See what you notice. I'm going to step off camera for a moment, say a prayer. If prayer is part of your toolkit, then you say one too. And then when I come back on, actually it'll starts already, but allow. Keep yourself loose, straight, but loose. Okay, no tension in your body, and see what flows to you. Maybe you'll notice it today, maybe you'll notice it tomorrow. Maybe not ever. That whole suppression thing, detachment thing. Okay, here we go. All right. I'm noticing someone or someones with middle back tension. Orbs again. With middle back tension, I'd like you to image light, fluidity, energy, loosening that up. You don't have to think about why or what's going to shift if you do that. Just do it. Allow it. Those of you that are able, as you're doing your deep, slow inhalations, notice your heart chakra. Emotions don't, for the most part, reside there. As far as the physical body, they tend to reside in the belly. But again, we're all connected. Let your heart chakra shine. Let your breaths, your inhales, pull those emotions up from the belly, in through the heart, and exhale them out. Those things that are stuck, those things that no longer serve. In, up from the belly, out the heart. I know some of you are feeling stuck and like you can't do it. You can do it. You are doing it to whatever degree your capacity is at this moment. You are doing it. So it feels stuck. It's okay. There's still something happening. this part of our evenings together, I'm always just so in awe and wonder and gratitude, and it's more emotions than that. More, it's deeper than that. It's beyond words. But in love about how the spirit world, our real world, loves us and is supporting us through this often painful journey here on earth. Always remember they're there for you. They're there for you, your loved ones, your not so much loved ones. All right, I want to call this a night. Thank you for being with us. Think eternal. Act now.